In the rolling hills of central Virginia, where the Blue Ridge Mountains cast long shadows over quiet suburbs, lived Elijah Grant, a 48-year-old Navy veteran whose life had been a testament to perseverance and quiet strength. Elijah had enlisted straight out of high school in a small town near Richmond, driven by a deep-seated desire to serve his country and escape the cycle of poverty that had gripped his family for generations. For over 2 decades, he sailed the world's oceans aboard aircraft carriers, rising through the ranks with discipline forged in the fires of boot camp and deployments to distant conflicts. He had seen the worst of humanity in war zones, where survival depended on trust, respect, and unbreakable resolve. But Elijah always carried a piece of home with him, a faded photo of his grandparents' farm, where he first learned to hunt under the watchful eye of his grandfather, a sharecropper who taught him that the land was not just soil, but a source of sustenance and soul. After retiring from the Navy with honors, Elijah sought a simpler life. He married his high school sweetheart, Naomi, a dedicated school teacher who had waited patiently through his long absences. Together, they raised their daughter, Sophia, now 16, instilling in her the values of hard work, integrity, and community. They saved diligently and bought a modest ranch-style home in Willow Creek Estates, a gated community nestled against a vast expanse of forested land. Known locally as the Whispering Pines, the neighborhood was idyllic on the surface: manicured lawns, friendly barbecues, and a homeowners association (HOA) that promised harmony and security. For Elijah, the real draw was the adjacent woods, a 200-acre tract of public access land where he could escape the noise of civilian life. Hunting there wasn't just a hobby, it was therapy, a way to reconnect with his roots and pass on lessons to Sophia about patience, respect for nature, and self-reliance. Every autumn weekend, Elijah and Sophia would rise before dawn. He'd prepare their gear with military precision: bolt-action rifles cleaned and oiled, blaze orange vests for safety, and backpacks stocked with water, snacks, and first aid kits. Sophia, with her curly hair tied back and eyes bright with excitement, had grown into a skilled markswoman under her father's guidance. "Remember, Soph," Elijah would say as they hiked into the misty woods, "hunting isn't about the kill. It's about understanding the balance of life. Take only what you need and give thanks for it." These outings were sacred, bonding moments that helped Sophia navigate the challenges of high school, where she often felt like an outsider. As one of the few black students in her class, one crisp October morning, after a fruitful hunt where Sophia bagged her first buck, they returned home flushed with pride. Elijah hung the deer in the garage for processing, teaching Sophia how to field-dress it humanely. As they cleaned up, Naomi called from the porch, "Mail's here, Eli. Looks official." Elijah wiped his hands and opened the envelope, emblazoned with the Willow Creek HOA stylized oak tree symbolizing unity. The letter inside was terse and accusatory. "Dear Mr. Grant, it has come to our attention that your activities in the Whispering Pines adjacent to our community violate HOA guidelines on safety and decorum. The use of firearms in proximity to residential areas poses a significant risk to residents and disrupts the peaceful ambience we strive to maintain. You are hereby fined $2,000, payable within 30 days. Failure to comply may result in further action. Sincerely, Margaret Kensington, HOA President." Elijah's hands trembled slightly as he read it again. He had all the necessary permits: state hunting license, tags for the season, even a special endorsement for the public land. The Whispering Pines were miles from the nearest home, separated by thick underbrush and a winding creek. He had never fired a shot within earshot of the neighborhood, always adhering to safety protocols drilled into him from his Navy days. Yet here was this fine, treating him like a criminal. Naomi peered over his shoulder, her face clouding with concern. "This can't be right. You've been hunting there for years without issue." Sophia, sensing the shift in mood, asked, "Dad, what's wrong?" That evening, over a dinner of venison stew harvested ethically and shared with neighbors in the past, Elijah explained the letter. "It's not about the rules," he said, his voice steady but laced with frustration. "I followed everyone. This is about something else. Naomi nodded knowingly. As a teacher, she had seen subtle biases play out in classrooms and PTA meetings. Willow Creek was predominantly white, and while most residents were cordial, there were whispers complaints about urban influences or changing demographics. Elijah, with his military bearing and unapologetic pride in his heritage, stood out. He recalled how the Kensingtons, an old money family who dominated the HOA, had once hosted a patriotic barbecue but excluded him from the planning committee. Citing scheduling conflicts, the next day, Elijah phoned Margaret Kensington. Her voice was polished, laced with condescension. "Mr. Grant, the board received multiple complaints. Children play nearby, families hike those trails, gunfire, even distant, frightens people." Elijah countered calmly, "Ma'am, I've hunted responsibly, no laws broken. What about the Thompsons? They target shoot in their backyard every weekend." There was a pause. "That's different. They're longtime residents. This is about maintaining our community's image." The call ended with the fine upheld, and Elijah felt a fire ignite in his chest, not rage, but a determined resolve. He had fought for freedom overseas. He wouldn't be marginalized at home. As days turned to weeks, the fine gnawed at him. He paid it to avoid liens on his home, but it left a bitter taste. Neighbors who once waved now averted their eyes. At a community potluck, Elijah overheard murmurs. "He's too aggressive with that hunting stuff." Sophia came home from school upset, saying classmates teased her about her gun-toting dad. Naomi urged caution. "We don't want to rock the boat too much." But Elijah, staring out at the whispering pines from his back deck, remembered his grandfather's words, "Land is power, boy, own it, and no one can take your dignity." That night, an idea took root. If the HOA saw his presence in those woods as a threat, perhaps it was time to claim them outright. Elijah began researching the land's ownership. The Whispering Pines were owned by an elderly widow, Evelyn Harper, whose family had held the deed. Since the Civil War era, she lived in a nursing home in Richmond, and rumors swirled that she was open to selling to developers. Elijah reached out through a mutual acquaintance, a fellow veteran who knew Evelyn's son. Their first meeting was at a cozy cafe in town, where Evelyn, frail but sharp-witted at 82, sipped tea and eyed Elijah curiously. "Why you, young man? Developers offer millions to turn it into condos." Elijah leaned forward, his voice earnest. "Because I respect the land. Ma'am, I won't bulldoze it. I'll preserve it for my family, for hunting and reflection. It's not about profit. It's about legacy." They talked for hours, Elijah sharing stories of his Navy service, Evelyn reminiscing about her late husband who hunted those same woods. By the end, she agreed to an appraisal. Over the following months, Elijah juggled finances, dipping into his pension and securing a loan. Naomi was hesitant. "This could drain us, Eli." But Sophia supported him. "Dad, if it means we can hunt without fear, do it." Negotiations dragged on, surveys, title searches, environmental assessments, but Elijah's persistence paid off. On a rainy spring day, he signed the papers, becoming the owner of the Whispering Pines. The first act was subtle, signs posted at trailheads reading "Private property, no trespassing." He didn't announce it. He let the land speak for itself. But word spread like wildfire. Joggers found their paths blocked. Families planning picnics turned back in confusion. Margaret Kensington called immediately, her tone laced with outrage. "This is absurd, Mr. Grant. Those trails are community treasures." Elijah replied evenly, "Not anymore. They're mine. Bought fair and square. Perhaps if the HOA hadn't fined me unjustly, things would be different." The neighborhood's reaction was swift and divided. Some sympathized, whispering about the HOA's overreach. Others, led by the Kensingtons, rallied against him. Anonymous emails accused him of pettiness. One neighbor, a real estate agent named Harold Vance, confronted him at the mailbox. "You're destroying what makes this place special." Elijah stood tall. "No, I'm protecting what's mine. Respect that, and maybe we can talk." As tensions simmered, Elijah felt a mix of vindication and isolation. He had changed the game, but the real battle for hearts, minds, and peace was just beginning. Little did he know, this act of defiance would inspire not just his family, but ripple outward, teaching lessons in resilience, and justice that echoed far beyond the woods. With the deed to the Whispering Pines securely in his possession, Elijah Grant embarked on a new chapter that tested the depths of his character and the strength of his family bonds. The land, now his, stretched like a living entity under his care, towering oaks, babbling streams, and deer trails that wound through fern-covered hills. But ownership brought responsibilities beyond mere possession. Elijah spent his first weeks as landlord surveying the property on foot, marking boundaries with stakes and reinforcing fences where vandals had already tested the limits. He hired a local forester to assess the health of the woods, ensuring sustainable practices for any future hunting. "This isn't revenge," he told Naomi one evening as they walked the perimeter. "It's stewardship. My grandfather lost his farm to unfair laws. I won't let history repeat." Sophia, inspired by her father's boldness, dove into research on land conservation. At school, she presented a project on environmental ethics subtly, weaving in the story of how personal injustice can lead to positive change. "Dad bought the land to protect it," she told her classmates, "not to hoard it." Some kids nodded thoughtfully, others rolled their eyes, influenced by parental gossip. Naomi, meanwhile, navigated the social fallout at work. Fellow teachers at the elementary school whispered about that Grant family causing trouble. She held her head high, responding with grace. "Elijah served our country for 20 years. He deserves respect, not fines for legal activities." The HOA, under Margaret Kensington's iron-fisted leadership, didn't idle. At the next board meeting in the community center, a sterile room with fluorescent lights and plastic chairs, Margaret addressed a packed crowd. "Mr. Grant's actions are a direct assault on our shared values," she declared, her pearl necklace glinting under the lights. "Those pines were our backyard playground. Now, one man's ego has locked them away." Applause erupted from loyalists, like Harold Vance, who stood to add, "We need to fight this. Petitions, lawsuits, whatever it takes." But not everyone agreed. A quiet retiree named Clara Ruiz raised her hand. "Margaret, wasn't the fine what started this? Elijah hunted legally. Maybe we overstepped." Murmurs of dissent rippled, but Margaret quelled them with a sharp gavel tap. "Unity is key. We'll form a committee to explore legal options." Back home, Elijah received the first wave of backlash. Notes appeared in his mailbox, some pleading, "Please reopen the trails for our kids." Others venomous, "Greedy outsider, sell and leave." One morning, he found a sign uprooted and tossed into a ditch, muddied and broken. Sophia helped him replace it, her hands dirty but determined. "Why do they hate us so much?" she asked. Elijah knelt beside her. "It's not hate, Soph, it's fear of change. People cling to what's familiar, even if it's unfair. We stand firm. Show them strength through kindness to counter the negativity." Elijah reached out to a few sympathetic neighbors. He invited Clara Ruiz and her husband for coffee, sharing venison jerky from his last hunt. "I didn't buy the land to punish," he explained. "The HOA fined me because I didn't fit their image. Now, I control my destiny." Clara nodded. "I've seen bias here before. My family's Latino. We get the side eye, too." "Good for you, Elijah." Word of these quiet alliances spread, planting seeds of doubt in the HOA's narrative. As winter approached, Elijah deepened his connection to the land. He and Sophia built a small cabin blind deep in the woods, a simple structure of reclaimed wood, equipped with solar lights and a rain barrel. It became their sanctuary, where they discussed life's big questions. "Dad, what if they sue us?" Sophia asked one afternoon, binoculars in hand, as they watched a herd of deer. Elijah smiled. "Let them try. We have the law on our side. This is about more than trails, it's about equality. If I back down, what message does that send to you?" Sophia hugged him. "That I'm strong enough to fight my own battles." Margaret escalated her campaign. Flyers circulated, "Reclaim our pine" sign. The petition, over 100 signatures amassed, demanding Elijah grant easements for public access. A local news reporter, tipped off by Harold, interviewed Margaret. "This closure divides us. Mr. Grant is acting selfishly." The article painted Elijah as reclusive, omitting his veteran status or the unjust fine. Naomi fumed. "They're twisting the truth, Elijah. ever the strategist, contacted the reporter for a follow-up. In a measured interview, he shared his side. I served in the Navy to protect freedoms, including property rights. The HOA fined me for hunting legally likely because I'm black in a mostly white area. Buying the land was my way to ensure fairness. The story went viral locally, garnering support from veterans groups and civil rights advocates. Emails poured in, inspirational stand, brother. A GoFundMe started by Clara raised funds for Elijah's legal defense, but opposition hardened too. One night, Elijah heard noises outside, tires screeching, voices shouting slurs. In the morning, his truck's tires were slashed. Sophia cried, but Elijah comforted her. This is their weakness showing. We respond with resolve, not retaliation. He reported the vandalism to police, who promised patrols, but admitted proof was scarce. Through it all, Elijah drew inspiration from his Navy days, endless drills, stormy seas, comradeship under fire. He mentored Sophia in resilience, teaching her to journal her thoughts, write your story, own it. Naomi, initially wary, grew proud. You're showing us all how to rise above. As snow blanketed the pines, Elijah patrolled the land, his breath fogging in the cold air. He encountered trespassers, a group of teens sneaking in for a party. Instead of anger, he spoke firmly. This is private now. Respect that. And maybe someday we can share stories. The kids left, chastened. Margaret's next move was a lawsuit threat, claiming adverse possession by the community. Elijah hired a lawyer, a sharp-minded woman named Lena Torres, who dismantled the claim. No legal basis, they never owned it. The HOA backed down, but tensions simmered. Elijah used the lull to host a small gathering on his property's edge for allies only. Around a campfire, they shared meals and tales. Clara said, "You're inspiring change, Elijah. People are questioning the HOA now." By spring, buds bloomed, mirroring Elijah's growing confidence. He planted native wildflowers along the boundaries, enhancing the land's beauty. Sophia started a blog, Whispering Pines Chronicles, detailing conservation efforts and her father's journey. Readers commented, motivational. Keep fighting. Yet challenges loomed. Margaret plotted anew, rallying for a boycott of Elijah's family. Whispers at stores, cold shoulders at events. Naomi worried, how much more can we take? Elijah held her, as much as needed. This is our legacy. The resolve deepened family ties. Sophia excelled in school, channeling energy into debate club, arguing for justice. Naomi organized a book club on civil rights history. Elijah, reflecting under the pines, realized this wasn't just about land, it was a beacon of inspiration, proving one person's stand could ignite widespread change. But as conflicts intensified, he braced for the storm ahead, knowing true victory lay in unwavering principle. As the seasons shifted into summer's heat, Elijah Grant's ownership of the Whispering Pines became a flashpoint that illuminated the fractures. In Willow Creek Estates, the land, once a communal escape, now symbolized division, with Elijah at its center, a figure of quiet defiance amid growing turmoil. He maintained the property meticulously, clearing invasive species and installing wildlife cameras to monitor deer populations. This is our haven, he told Sophia during a maintenance hike, sweat beading on his brow. We'll make it thrive, no matter the noise outside. The noise, however, grew deafening. Margaret Kensington orchestrated a media blitz, appearing on local radio. Mr. Grant's closure is punitive. Families suffer while he hoards acres. Callers piled on, some decrying entitlement, others defending Elijah. He's a vet, leave him be. Social media exploded with hashtags like hashtag reopen the pines and hashtag stand with Grant. Elijah avoided the fray, focusing on family. Naomi suggested compromise, maybe allow limited access. But Elijah shook his head. That admits I was wrong. We earned this through hardship. Confrontations escalated. One afternoon, Harold Vance and a group of joggers approached the boundary fence. Tear it down, Harold shouted. Elijah emerged from the woods, calm but authoritative. This is private property. Trespass and I'll call authorities. The group dispersed, muttering threats. That night, eggs splattered Elijah's front door. Sophia cleaned it up, tears in her eyes. Why can't they see you're good? Elijah hugged her, because change scares them. But your strength inspires me. Support networks blossomed. Veterans from Elijah's old unit visited, sharing war stories around a barbecue. You fought overseas. Now fight here, one said. Clara Ruiz organized a solidarity picnic, drawing diverse attendees who shared experiences of discrimination. Your story motivates. U.S. A young black entrepreneur told Elijah, it shows ownership empowers. Sophia's blog gained followers, with posts on perseverance going viral. She wrote, my dad's not closing doors, he's opening eyes to injustice. Margaret countered with a town hall meeting, packed with agitated residents. We demand action. She proclaimed, testimonies flowed, dog walkers lamenting lost roots, parents decrying stolen childhoods. Elijah attended, standing to speak. I bought this land after an unfair fine targeted me. It's not spite, it's self-defense. Let's build bridges, not barriers. Boos mixed with applause, revealing the split. Diane Lowell, a single mom, approached. Afterward, I get it now, my son's biracial. We felt the stares too. You're brave. Vandalism intensified, a gate lock cut. Trash dumped in streams. Elijah installed security lights and cameras, capturing footage of culprits, teens egged on by adults. He pressed charges, leading to community service for the kids. Learn respect, he told them. The incidents drew media scrutiny, with outlets highlighting HOA overreach. A national blog featured Elijah. Veterans stand against bias inspires thousands. Family strains emerged. Naomi confided, I'm proud, but scared. Elijah reassured, we're in this together. Your support fuels me. Sophia channeled anxiety into activism, starting a school club on environmental justice. Dad's fight taught me to speak up, she said. A pivotal clash came at an HOA election. Margaret ran unopposed until Clara nominated Elijah. We need fresh voices, she argued. Debates raged. Margaret attacked Elijah's divisiveness. He countered with visions of inclusive policies. Though he lost, the close vote weakened Margaret's grip. Post-election, she confronted him privately. This ends badly for you. Elijah replied, or it ends with fairness for all, through trials. Elijah found inspiration in small victories, a dear family thriving, Sophia's growing confidence, neighbors' shifting attitudes. He hosted guided tours for allies, sharing hunting lore. Nature teaches patience, so does justice. As autumn neared, the storm raged, but Elijah's resolve shone brighter, a motivational force proving one man's principled stand could weather any gale and emerge transformative. In the golden hues of fall, Elijah Grant's saga in Willow Creek reached its crescendo, transforming from personal vendetta into a profound tale of empowerment and reconciliation. The whispering pines, under his watchful eye, flourished, wildlife abundant, trails maintained for private use but symbolizing hard-won autonomy. Elijah reflected during solo hunts, this land isn't just dirt, it's a monument to resilience. He shared venison with allies, fostering bonds that countered isolation. The HOA's aggression peaked with a frivolous lawsuit claiming community easement. Lena Torres demolished it in court. No evidence supports this. Mr. Grant's ownership is ironclad. The judge ruled in Elijah's favor, ordering the HOA to pay costs. Margaret's defeat was public, eroding her influence. Resignations followed. Clara ascended to vice president, promising reforms. No more biased fines. Community healing began. Elijah hosted an open forum on neutral ground, a park pavilion. I closed the pines to protect my family, he said. But let's discuss equity. Stories poured out. Minorities sharing discrimination tales. Whites admitting blind spots. Diane Lowell apologized. I was wrong. Your courage opened my eyes. Elijah nodded. Forgiveness builds strength. Inspired, Elijah formed the Pines Preservation Initiative, granting limited access for educational hikes veterans, schools, underserved youth. Sophia led tours. This is about legacy, not locks. Her blog evolved into a podcast, interviewing change makers. Dad's story shows injustice can spark inspiration, she said. Personal growth abounded. Naomi, empowered, ran for school board. Advocating inclusivity, Elijah taught me to stand tall. Sophia earned scholarships. Crediting her father's example, he showed me discipline wins. Elijah mentored youth, speaking at events. Serve your country, then your community. Own your narrative. Margaret, humbled, approached Elijah. I misjudged. Truce. He extended a hand. Respect earned. The neighborhood shifted. Diverse events, fair rules. The Pines remained closed to casual use, but opened hearts. Years later, Elijah walked the woods with grandchildren, Sophia's kids. This land was my battleground, he said, but victory was in the lessons. His story, motivational and eternal, proved that from adversity blooms triumph, inspiring generations to claim their ground with grace and grit.